Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Deco Mesh Rose Wreath, and you can honestly do these in any color imaginable. We're going to be using the large flower board from Unique in the Creek as our base. I'm going to walk you through all the steps to put it together. But first, a couple things. I had promised you early on in the week that we had a special announcement coming today. So for those of you that have been thinking about joining her private group, but I'm not really sure, we're doing a birthday special for the next week or so. If you go to my website, catscreationsandmore.com, you can sign up to be in the private group for $1 to try it for 2 weeks. And then if you decide to stay, do absolutely nothing, it'll automatically bill you the ongoing rate, which is $27 a month right now. So you can kind of get a sneak peek for 2 weeks and then kind of check it out, kind of see if that's something that you might be interested in. So you have to go to the website though. You can't go to my Etsy shop. So that's that. Let me go ahead and make sure that we're going good today. Hang on just a second. Hi, Elizabeth. Good morning. Okay, let me get everything up, functioning, and okay, where are we? There we go. I think I got it right. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? Okay. Got that pinned. So that's pinned to the bottom if you're interested in it. YouTuber is a little bit different. You need to jump over to catscreationsandmore.com. That link is also included in the description box, and you are available, or you are eligible to do that. And I think we're going to run that. I have to look at the date for about 2 weeks. So starting this Thursday, the following Thursday after that, and then that's it. So we're only doing it for a very limited period of time. Like I said, if you want to stay in the group, don't do anything. If it's not something that you're like sure you want to be involved in, you can go ahead and cancel before your 2 week period, so that way you're not automatically billed, because that's the way it's set up. You start today at $1 for 2 weeks, and then on day 15, you're automatically billed the 27. So, and then you have a couple options if you think that this is really it for you, and maybe you want to save $54, just go to the yearly rate and you'll save 2 months. You pay for 10 and you get 2 months free. Or if this is something you totally love, you can become a lifetime member. You just pay once and you're done for the whole year. And you'll find all that information on the website today. So if you want to save this tutorial for maybe like, I don't know, handy reference when you're ready to put one together, it's super simple. Just click the share button down below. That's right, I said share. And this will share this tutorial to your page, where it is so much easier to find. How can you find me? I guess that is the next. Facebook Live every Tuesday, every Thursday. Sometimes we do crazy pop-up videos, but it's usually every Tuesday at 4 Pacific, 6 p.m. Central, and 7 p.m. Eastern. And then on Thursday, it's 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. And for those of you that are asking, okay, when do you go live in your private group? It is every Monday at 4 Pacific, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then on Tuesdays, we go early for our business class. We're at 10 a.m. Pacific, which is 12 noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So right around the lunch hour kind of thing. YouTubers, in order to get notified when I have a new tutorial available for you, just hit the subscribe button. You'll be notified whenever we upload a new video. And for people who want to get notified when you're on Facebook, just make sure you hit the like and follow button. The like button's easy enough to find. The follow button is hidden. Don't know why they did that. But if you just click the 3 dots off to the right hand side of the like button, it'll open up another little submenu. You click follow, and then that's how you get notified on anybody you follow on Facebook whenever there's something new that's going on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pivot you down. I think I covered all the things. Share, like, follow, private group, YouTube, and website. We're good. Okay, hang tight. We're going to go down. And I want to make sure that you guys can see everything. And I think you got a pretty good view. I feel like overhead has to be the view for this one. So let's go over all of our materials first. And I find it's necessary like to have like either the chip clips or the clothespins, binder clips, whatever you happen to have available. You'll understand why when we get started into the process. Good morning, Cheryl. Welcome. We are using the Unique in the Creek large flower board. I think this is 15.5 inches. Let me make sure. Yes, 15.5 inches in diameter. I have the board already pre-prepped. I'm going to go over for you zip tie placement. Zip ties just make the whole process so much easier to do. So what you'll notice is on the outside of the Unique in the Creek board, there are these single holes. We are going to put a zip tie in every other one. So it'll be 8. There's 16 holes, 16, 17, 18, I think. You'll see the 2 that are up at the top. That is going to be for our hanger, but we're going to skip those. So just 8 single zip ties to the outside. Then the next row down, you're going to put in 16 on every set of double holes. So I don't know if it's easier for you to see it this way, but there's double holes and there's single holes, or sorry, on row number, I think it's 2. There are just single, a set of singles. So 16 of those around the outside. Then you're going to go the next one in, and you are just going to zip tie together just the 2 that are most close together. There should be 8. You're skipping the single holes. Then when you get to row 4, you're going to use a zip tie in every single one. We're not sharing, so just in the 2 that are closest together. And then as we get to the center, it's just going to be the 4 double sets on each side. We are not using the center double 2. So I think that explains it. 8, 16, 8, 8, 4, 0. That should help you with pre-wiring or pre-setting up your board for this. So you can order these. I think they have them in Hobby Lobby now. I have not been to Hobby Lobby to look, but I've been told Hobby Lobby, Craft Outlet, some of the other online craft companies might have them. Because I use them so frequently, I like to buy them in bulk. So Amazon, I think, sells a 5-pack. So that's usually the way that I do that. And I can get them through Amazon and they come a lot quicker. You can also ship them from Unique in the Creek directly. That works out great for those of you that are in Canada and are looking for the Unique in Creek board, because that is where her company is based. So let's get started with the Deco Mesh. What are you going to need? Well, to make the flower petals, I am doing this one a little bit different. When I have done the rose wreath in the past, sometimes I can see the lighter color board kind of coming through. So I have found if you double the mesh, you won't need to spray paint the bottom, nor will you have to worry about any of that lighter color coming through the board. If you don't want to double it up, you can just do single. I would probably recommend that you spray paint your board just to guarantee that you don't see any of that light color coming through. Good morning, or good evening, Joan. She's joining us from the UK. Absolutely, we are doing well right now. Okay, nice. Peggy says also Unique in the Creek has a US warehouse that they ship from. So for this one, I'm using 20-inch pieces of 10-inch Deco Mesh. I'm using the wide foil metallic because I like the quality of this. It's amazing. It's not thin. If you're using stuff like Hobby Lobby, Joann's, Michael's, it's going to feel really thin. It's not going to give you the results that you would like. So I would highly recommend save your money, purchase those directly through an online retailer like craftoutlet.com. Not only are your prices better, but you'll love the quality that you get in all of your wreath making products. So we're going to need 44 20-inch pieces of 10-inch Deco Mesh to complete the entire rose. That's right, 44, which means you're going to need 3 rolls of the wide foil Deco Mesh, because we know that we can only sometimes get, 18 out of a single roll, but I found one this morning. I was only able to get 17, so it's kind of questionable at best. But 3 rolls will be required. Then you're going to need a green Deco Mesh, and this is going to be for the leaves on the back side. But you'll only need 6 10-inch pieces. I'm doing an odd number of leaves to the back, just because I think it looks better, rather than put them in every single hole. So 6 pieces of 10-inch Deco Mesh cut to 10 inches for your leaves, 44 20-inch pieces for the actual flower petals. And then you're going to need a hanger. I like using the 1/8 inch braided cord, which I'm going to go ahead and put my hanger in first. I have to fire up my glue gun here so that I can make sure that this does not keep unwinding. When I put it away, I didn't do a very good job at making sure that when I cut that off, I didn't have any unspooling here. So here is our hanger area. I'm going to be pretty generous when I cut that off. Again, I'm going to do the end because this is what it likes to do on the braided cord, is it likes to unwind. And I've been doing these for a while, so this is a method that I think you're going to love. The first time I did these, I started to know that there was issues, like when you start putting in your outer petals, sometimes they don't give you the coverage that you would like. We are just going to tie a knot in this here, and I'm doing it from the top so that it hangs from the back. This is the side that is going to be where all the petals are. Elizabeth is funny. She's like, why 20? I've never seen anyone do that. I know, because it's going to make it look amazing. It's going to give you that depth of color we see here when we pick up a roll of Deco Mesh, rather than having it a little thinner where you can see through, and obviously you can tell. You're going to see a little bit, there's a little bit of a transparency going on. Even though you fold the petals the same, I just like the quality of it better. So let's go ahead and get started. Do you guys have any questions on the materials? I think I covered them all. Hi, Peggy from Jacksonville. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. We are going to be working the outside 8 first, because this is the most challenging. And here's a different way. I don't know if you guys have seen it this way, but I want to make sure that you see it. So my 20-inch piece was cut with a wood burning tool. I am going to fold one on the other, because this is going to double up that mesh. Now you might ask, can we just cut 2 10-inch pieces and stick them together? The answer is yes, but it's just easier to fold them rather than to try to line up 2 identical pieces. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just overlapping them. But I put a chip clip on the top to hold the ends together where they join. I'm going to do the same thing down here. And then I'm just going to walk my hand up. And we want to focus on that fold right here. Okay. Then what we're going to do is turn it on the diagonal. You're going to take it from this corner. You're going to pull it all the way down to the adjacent corner. Just like this. This is where those chip clips come in handy. They hold everything in place. And about 2 inches up, you're going to start to gather. And as you gather, you're going to notice that it kind of turns it into like a little circular, kind of like a half oval, which is exactly what we want. I'm using a 6-inch zip tie because I have found that by doing this over the rubber bands can pop and degrade over time. The zip ties generally don't. And then from here, I'm just going to flatten my end. And I'm going to pop this one out. And I'm going to do the same thing. Just flatten my corners. And then here you have your petal technique. Okay. So let me take a piece of the green. Not that this is what we're going to be doing with the green, but if we were to do it, let me show you the difference. Because this is a singular piece, right? And we're going to gather, like if we were doing this one. I'm just going to show you the difference, because some people say, well, why are you doing two? Well, I'll show you. It just looks better for me. And I'm all about the quality of what it looks like at the end. So when I lay this on top, do you see the transparency difference between if I lay this one on top? This one, even though it's really good quality mesh, I can still see the lightness of that board coming through. When I double them up, I don't really see it. And granted, we're going to be putting a lot of these pieces together, but this is why this pays off versus this. I think you'll like the overall look of this one more than just the singular one. So I'm going to take these ones apart because these are leaves and not flower petals. Okay, so like I said, you have about 2 inches to the bottom. You can cut this off. It's entirely up to you. I find it's just handy to have the edge here. And then this is where it kind of gets a little bit challenging. So in the past, we have just kind of, put our piece in, and I always make sure it goes, my zip tie on the board is behind the zip tie on my petal. Because if I go to pull this, that zip tie is going to stop my petals from being pulled out. Hi, Lori. Yes, I did wood and burn this particular mesh. So on here, because this is all red, you're going to, because in the past I've had to like glue it to try to get the pieces to stay together. We are going to place in 2 pieces here, and you're going to see what's going to happen on this first one. So remember, we're using the outside pieces, and each of the outside 8 is going to house 3 separate pieces. Hi, Margaret. She says, first time watching. Welcome. Where are you from? So we're going to load the 3. We're going to focus on the middle one, though. So they're all exactly the same. They're just done to the outside. So I'm going to show you how this will work. So we're going to focus on the middle one. So the middle one, let me take this one out so you can see, is going to hold the end of the one before it. Okay. It's going to hold the end of the one next to it. And it's going to hold the center piece for that petal. You need all 3 in there. So this is where this can be a little challenging. So again, I'm trying to get it under, trying to make sure all of my pieces are in. And I'm just going to zip tie this. And I used really super thicker zip ties. They're still 6-inch, but I used the heavy duty ones because there's so much being stuffed in there. So we have this one secured. We have this one, the end secured, and we have the center. So now here we can either, it doesn't matter which way you want to do it, if you want to put them on the bottoms or you want to put them on the top. Remember, we have to get our end, because I can't pull that one out now. I got to get the end in. So here's my end, here's my center, and let's get our other piece, the one that goes next to it. So I'm just going to stuff that one in, and then I'm going to lift up, kind of push that in. So I've got all 3. I want to make sure it's underneath my zip tie so it does not pull out. We'll snip that off. And then we're just going to keep doing the same thing. Tuck the ends in. And what this starts to do is it starts to cut the outside pieces. So if you've done them in the past, we've always started with the center and work our way out. And then when we get to the outside, we're like struggling to get these little pieces to stay in. This solves the problem. So again, we have our end. This is going to go in here. And we're going to take that other end, the other corner. We're going to tuck it underneath so that we have all three pieces. Trying to get my zip tie. I just kind of went to the back side. There we go. Okay, pull that in. Trying to get this to go behind the other. Snip off the end. Now we're going to go back under this piece here. We already have our front in. I can move my zip tie around so the zippy part is on the top. This one's going to go right in here. Trying to make sure that's under. I'm going to go under this one. And now I'm going to secure them down. Okay, this one goes under the one before. You have the one that goes on the top. Trying to just maneuver my zip ties to the top. So bottom. And you can start to see how it's kind of pulling it up in a cup shape. That's what you want it to do. Okay. There we go. Under, under. Trying to get that on the other side and still hold the underside pieces in place. Okay, same thing here. We have our underside. This one here. I'm just going to place this one on the top. Trying to get it in. There we go. Just trying to get that corner in. I need to grab the one before. Push this one in. There we go. I'm just going to kind of tuck that one over. Three things all in the corner. The left corner, the right corner, and the center piece. Okay, we're going on the top. This way it'll make it easier for you to see what I'm doing. Getting it past the zip tie point. Moving my zip tie to the top. So inside here. So it's sitting on top. We have this piece here. It's going to go right along the top. So you can see. And I'm going to zip tie that down. Because this is our first piece, remember? So this one gets our underside piece. And it's going to get this piece. Let me get my zip tie back up to the top. And then we're going to take this piece, tucking that in, and this should be the last one. There we go. Success! Now that's the outside pieces. So they all form this little bowl, which means that on the outside around here, we don't have any pieces sticking out like we used to in the past. Everything is tucked in. It's not going to fall out. So everything is nice and smooth. So now we can focus on the 4 in the center. Heavy foil. Okay, perfect. Thank you. You guys are grabbing the questions. Thank you so much, Utona and Elizabeth, for grabbing those questions. I appreciate it. Okay, now we're going to take the 4 for the center. So I'm just grabbing 4. And they're all pre-done. These ones, again, it's up to you if you want. We are just going to place these in the center. Okay, and this is the easy part. You just zip tie them down. So there's one. And I usually try to do one on top of the other so I keep the pattern going. Okay, getting this inside. Again, making sure it's going behind my zip tie. I just have one overlapping the other. This one is now going to overlap the other. So I'm going to pull that in, get it behind the zip tie, nice and tight. And then we're going to do number 4. So now we're starting the 4 in the center. So here's our last one to the center. Let's get this one in. Just kind of finding a home for it. Zip tie down nice and tight. So we have one piece laying on top of another, and they're kind of in a little swirly pattern. So what we're going to do with the one that we entered last is, what I like to do is just start here at the bottom, just take the corner and curl it. And you are just going to kind of start to wrap one piece to form that center of the rose. And I like to do it fairly tight. So I'm just going to pull this right around itself. I'm going to kind of tuck that down. I don't want it to spiral up because I don't want it to turn into a tube. And this is where your clothespins will come in handy. So I'm just going to twist. I'm going to keep them low. And I'm going to place my clothespin on it. And then, as I go ahead and wrap the next one around, I'm going to keep it close to the center, wrapping as you go. And I'm keeping it nice and tight. Kind of want this one a little bit tighter. And I'm going to do clothespin just to hold that in place. I'm going to get the next one. Remember, we've got that row in the center, so I've got to make room for it. So I'm just wrapping it nice and tight. And then we're going to do the same. Got to get it in past that point. Nice and tight. Oops, let go of that one. A little too soon. So once you get them formed into this really tight little rosebud, you'll see that once I pull the chip clips out, it looks nice. It's your center of your rose. You can actually, if you want it a little bit tighter, you can do that. This is where you're going to take a thin rubber band, and you're going to take this rubber band, and you want to make sure that it's holding all those pieces, the little ends, to the bottom. And then this is where, if you want, you can spin this a little bit tighter. And I usually just hold it with a chip clip for a little bit. Oop. Okay. So right now it's the tight little center of our rose, and we have the rubber band holding it. So now we've got that outside 8 that we're going to go ahead and work in. And this is where you can cut some of those tips off of these pieces. And I like to start it right where these two meet. So we're just going to take, and I find that if you just slide it in the same direction, like I'm facing all my pieces to the left, I'm going to go ahead and zip tie that piece down, cut it off. I am just snipping the end off, like I'm leaving like a thumb width on there. And I'm going to take this piece, lay it on the inside, facing again towards the left. Go ahead and tighten it down. Remove the zip tie. So I have one laying inside the other, and I'm keeping them going all the way around, just like we did in the center. So cutting the tip off, just so there's less of that Deco Mesh to work through, leaning it to the left. Trying to get my zip tie. Everything. All the end pieces are all going to the left. They're kind of forming their own little circle. Same thing. Cut that end off. I'm doing row 2 now to the inside. Laying this piece so that it all faces to the left. Then what it's doing is it's kind of helping to cover the inside part of the board. Okay. Man, I haven't done one of these in ages. Trying to make sure you guys can see this, so I'm trying to pull it up as close as I possibly can. Just like this. One. See how I'm going to take the next piece? Everything is all, like all the ends are all going that direction. Laying the next piece in, making it lean to the left. Zip tie nice and tight. Go ahead and snip the end off. Laying this back into the center. I always need to make sure I take my zip ties and make sure that they're up, not laying off to the side. It just makes finding them and tightening them much easier. So you see how I've just been kind of one over the other. I'm trying to make sure I don't throw away zip ties. but I do want to make sure we remove all the excess. Last piece for this row, snipping the end off. And this last one is just going to go right in here. Zip tie in. And remember, this is where we finished our wrap. So guess what we're going to do here? We're going to do the same thing. You're going to grab your corners and you are just going to grab each piece and move them forward. This is where some of that Deco Mesh starts to pay off. Okay, taking the one before that. One before that. Remember, they have to go in fairly tight because you've got your third row now. So they need to be in here nice and tight. That's why you get those really tight row centers that look amazing. I'm going to grab this side first and pull it around. So far I've got everything bound and held. I am actually going to take advantage of some of my clothespins. Hold that. There we go. Bring that around. Going to grab this, pull this around, and finally, like I said, we've got to clear that row for that other piece. Okay, I'm trying to make sure they're all in there nice and tight. Just like that. And guess what we're going to need? Right, another rubber band. So I'm going to start them low, go up and over, and it's going to hold all of those pieces nice and tight. But we want them to hang down to the bottom because that's where the majority of that is. So look, when I go to pull these out, now we are forming the center of our rows. Cheryl says, for those of us who have made one in the past, it is so clear how this new method makes it so much more sense. Thank you, Kat. So appreciated. Exactly right. I was doing crazy stuff like trying to glue my tips underneath each of those, and I was just like, there has to be a better way. So I can't even honestly give credit where credit's due because I don't remember who I watched that showed you how to do that. But yeah, it's hugely life-changing. So now we're going to do the next 8. So these ones are going back close to the center, and we're just going to snip the end off. Same thing. So I'm looking at like where did the majority of it end? It seems like right here. So I'm going to tuck. I always like to start a full piece right where we have the end. So there's one. Again, let it form its own little bowl. Snip the end off. I usually prefer doing this over my trash can, but I wanted to make sure you guys can see these. We're still doing the same thing. Everything is leaning to the left. Like all those little ends are going to the left. And we're still creating that little, I guess it ends up looking like a shell at the very end. Wait. Okay, so working that third row. So this was first, second, we're doing our third. Taking our petals, moving them. I am just putting one inside the other. making sure the ends all meet. And I'm just cutting off the excess tips because they can become so bulky as we go to the inside. But what you will notice is that those pieces actually help cover up that gray bottom. Okay, one in front of the other. So as you can see, we're getting ready to put this one in. So we're going to lay it in slightly to the left, grab our zip tie, and make sure that is nice and snug in there. Right back on the inside. And you guys already know how clingy Deco Mesh is to each other. You know, sometimes just having that extra added benefit of the rubber band and the tails that we leave behind just make it easier to put the whole thing together. Okay. So we've got one more, and then it'll finish this row. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick it up. So I'm always going to work with the last piece I put in because everything else has been laying on it. So all you want to do at this point is pull it forward. And this is where I'm going to use my clothespins to kind of help hold things. Pushing this around. We're bringing this more up. Doing the next thing. And if you need to, you can tuck the ends, those little end tips, you can tuck them under the pieces in front. So I'm just doing this so that I can access that last row. I can actually see it, the middle row in here now. So I just want to make sure all this is kept nice and tight so I can squeeze the last one in. And we're going to leave it up to the center. This allows me the opportunity to tuck those ends under. And this one's going to go in. That one's going to go over. Tucking under, lifting up. Got our last piece, tucking the ends under, lifting that piece up. So that now I can actually see this last row that we have going on in here, right? And I'm just tucking the little tips. I just tuck them under the buds in front so that that's kind of like what a rosebud does anyway. So now we're going to put in the last 16. So let's go over the petal technique one more time. for those of you just joining, how to get this from a 20-inch piece of Deco Mesh because it looks so much better than a singular piece. All cut with a wood burning tool. So we are going to, I find it's easier just to chip clip them on the corner once you get everything lined up. So I do opposite corners. And then I'm able to flatten that. And then we're going to go from this corner down to the bottom. And I am going to gather to the center, and that pulls the ends down, gives you that little curled shape. And a 6-inch zip tie keeps that petal in shape. And then once you're done, just remove your chip clips, fold your ends down, and you have that perfect petal shape. I call it like a little octopus, a little squid, kind of, I guess. Jellyfish. So now we're going to put those all in that row 4. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm cutting the ends off. And I am going to start right over here, which is where we left off. So first piece in. Things are starting to get snug. And we're doing the same thing. You're just going to lay one piece right over the next in a nice little swirl pattern. This is row 4, and we have 16 of these. Just lay one right inside the other. Other piece, just cutting the little tips off just because they can get bulky in the center. Trying to get my zip tie out of the way. So one on top of the other. And I like to use the heavy duty zip ties on these ones. What do you guys think so far? It's handy to have the board pre-done. And when it finishes, it'll go back to replay so you can see how we laid out the board so that you can make sure that happens. Then we do the outside layer first. And you'll understand why if you have ever done it any other way. Doing this one. This is available for sale on the website at the pinned link at the bottom. If you don't want to go through the hassle of making one, you can just purchase this one. And these can be made in any color. I have a tutorial on how to make the patriotic one. That is on YouTube. If you want to make the red, white, and blue one. Again, we walk you through all the steps. I would say me. I walk you through all the steps. And if you start to see the outside ones get in the way, you can either put them in the little existing zip tie and that'll just help reinforce that even more. Or you can just cut the tips off or just push them to the side. I always leave everything in. It's getting tight in there. But that's what you want. You can see where it's just really starting to fill. Okay. Trying to get my zip tie to make sure that it holds that in there nice and snug. Move this one up and out of the way. We're seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Oops. Want that one in there tighter. So you can see how it's just starting to fill in your outside pieces, and those are all just going to kind of fall into place. Then we'll remove all the clothespins. It just makes it easier to clothespin them out of the way. So this way you can actually get to that row and not have the one before flopping down over the top. So everything just gets laid right on the next one. Okay. I think we have 3 more to go, and then we're done. But now, can you see why I use the double red? Because I don't want to see the light gray board. Oops. 2 more. There's 1. One more. And catching my more. There we go. All right. I have 1 extra petal. So you will need 44 to complete your rose wreath. Okay, now we're ready to get everything fluffed. So, working backwards, we are just going to tuck. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to move these all out because they're all out of the way. And all we're doing is moving our tips down to the center. Ain't no one want to see those ends. Even though they're pretty, nobody wants to see them. So So this is where you're just going to take one and move it in, move it under, kind of tuck them in. And we're just tucking them in. Don't want to see that one popping up. We're slowly getting there. Just finessing the last couple pieces in. Just making sure all those little tips are all nice and snug. And then we can kind of just make sure we move all the other pieces. And that is your beautiful red rose wreath. And what we're going to do at this stage is we are going to put together some leaves for the ends. So if you flip this over, this is the back side. We're going to use a couple of those holes that are available for our leaf petals. So I am just putting just like this. We're doing a set of 3. And let me show you how we're putting the petals together. So this is 10-inch Deco Mesh. And all you're going to do is put it on its corner. And you're going to gather from one corner right up to the other. And here's a leaf. If you want, you can chip clip it. We're doing the same thing. We're going to double them. But these ones you don't want to stack, because it looks nice if you have like 2 separate leaves, and we're going to put them to where the flat side of the leaf is going to be. Shouldn't have done that. Let me take this one out. I want to leave it before it's in. So I want to put that in but not secure it. Okay, so we are putting, I had to think about that. We're putting our leaves this way so that the pretty side will be facing the rose. So we're just going to zip tie those in. Just like that. I'm going to trim up a couple of these wayward frays that I have. So those are going to fan to the outside. I'm going to skip a hole, probably go here maybe, and then here. This is what it looks like from the other side. So you can see here are the leaves that are popping out from our rose. You can put them in every single hole. You can put them in every other hole. I don't feel like they have to go in every one. So I'm going to put this one down here. I'm going to leave it. We're going to get our 2 pieces of our Deco Mesh. You can do it from the curly side. You could do it this way. Whichever's easier, just going from one corner to the other. You can even take your Bobadabra, slide that in, let it hold it. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Corner to corner. Pick one up. I'm just going to overlap them. So we have that really nice vibrant color. Remember, we're putting them so the pretty petal side is facing down. Just like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and probably put another one, maybe right here. So we'll make a set of 3. Odds are better than evens. Same thing. 2 pieces of the green wide foil 10-inch mesh cut to 10-inch pieces. You can use your bow dabber just to make the holding part easier. And pick them both up, flip them upside down, get your zip tie, nice and tight. Look at how pretty the back looks, super nice. Looks absolutely gorgeous. You can add your business card to the back if you want to do that. Making sure, obviously, our hanger's at the top. Let me flip this over so you can see what it looks like on the opposite side with our leaves already added. Oop. Trying to find the other one. There we go. So we have our leaves set aside just like that. I'm going to go ahead and pan you up so we can put this on the door. Hang tight. I think that should do it. We'll put it on the black door so it looks super nice. Let's set this one down. We're going to hang this with our hanger. And this is what it looks like when it's displayed on the door. Like I said, if you wanted to put another set of leaves, you could do that. But I like my rose wreaths to be to have like an odd number of leaves. Let me zoom in for you guys so you can actually see the wreath on the door. A little bit larger. That's exactly what it looks like. When it's finished, you can make them in purple, you can make them in peach, you can do red, white, and blue, you can do a rainbow color. It's entirely up to you. But do you see how the color prevents you from seeing into that light gray board? Perfect. I'm super glad that you guys found this handy. Cheryl's like so vibrant. So that's where the metallic Deco Mesh comes into play. It adds that little sparkle to the finished product. If you did it matte or you did it fabric mesh, you're not going to have that like metallic sparkly effect on the wreath. But yeah, there you go. So any questions I can answer for you guys? Hi, Lorraine. Oh, right. Elizabeth says, I like how you add all the petals first before you wrap them around the center. And that is the key thing. So now you don't have to worry about those little pesky points sticking out that you either had to glue or you had to kind of find some way to make sure that those didn't keep popping out. This way solves the problem. So I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful. And don't forget, hop on over to the website. If you want to sign up on the private group membership, we've got that trial going for just a couple weeks. If you guys are catching this on a replay from a year ago, this is in effect from technically February 29th all the way, I think it's going to be, I have to look at the calendar. It's like, I want to say like March 14th, March 13th. So love to have you. Come join us for $1 for 2 weeks. And then if you decide to stay, don't do anything. It'll automatically start billing you monthly at that point until you decide that you're out. But you have access to the library, you have access to the discounts, you get access to all the materials lists, so you don't have to write anything down. And then you get those private tutorials, which is a grand total of about 8 to 10. Just depends on how many weeks there are to a month. But I hope you guys have an amazing weekend, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye for now.